to represent the sovereignty of the nation to make the argument. It's just that their argument was weaker than yours, not that yours was weak at all. It's sort of like putting them in position, just like when they are moving in with an authority and you command that they produce their delegated authority order, and then you put them on the spot, and likewise yours must be delegated too, unless you're operating in an individual citizen's capacity, which you also have the right to do, and it's still superior to theirs. But your greater power is when you operate in a government order, and this is back to with us as a body of people, rather than get caught in what we all recognize is a sellout position and a de facto position of many people on our side of the nation, is to put the information out to force them to step up or step off. At the same time, continue to be active, which we are being. And so what I'm saying, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying. And I'm with you, but what I'm really looking for, and I want you to understand this too, Noah, what I'm constantly looking for is to counter a pattern that I've seen going on in the last 20 to 25 years. And the pattern that I've seen going on, even from when they used to do the drafts under HMOs with the Uniform Commercial Codes, and they evolved to the next degree, and they're doing it now on another level, is I've watched this thing come from mere lawful notices and exercising rights that exist into a whole series of necessities of filings and going through all these hoops. And along the way, someone's always getting paid, which sets a precedence, whereas now that baby, if she doesn't do a precedent of activity that we are setting up as Moorish Americans, then she can't exercise or is not recognized in a capacity of sovereign operations to birthright that already exists with her without anything being moved. And that indirectly still turns around and places an obligation or debt upon her by process that by rightful law does not exist. And it's actually placing a burden on her. In other words, it's sort of like, whereas either you have free access to the courts or you don't. And if you got to go through an informal papyrus process to have access for suit to a degree that you don't have finance, then you have no access to the court because they're denying you process by virtue of making fees and hoop jumps that they know that you can't meet. And we're starting to do that same process with our people with the UCCs that's been presented to us by the Europeans as a condition of getting to redress, course, and remedy relative to us accepting their claim that the Constitution is not active.
Anybody more scientific, right? And it don't take a rocket science to understand it.
You know I know that.
Article 9, Section 311 says that it brings in treaty international law.
Yeah.
And that is supreme. That supersedes Uniform Commercial Code.
You know, I know that. But I'm saying to you, this is what I'm saying to you. If we, being Moorish Americans, do not make these things primarily information exposed to our people, they get caught up in this merry-go-round of these protocols that make this thing complex rather than enforcing the Constitution by virtue of Article 9, because the treaty is the Constitution.
According to Howard versus Missouri, the Constitution, the laws and the body and the Bill of Rights, the treaties even carry more weight than the Bill of Rights.
Because the treaty supersedes it.
Right.
And is the supreme law of the land, which is why I keep going to Article 6 of the Constitution, to remind people of how to even look at using that treaty. You know, and what I'm seeing, and I understand it, I'm not rejecting it. I'm just saying to you right now, as an example, if you just had a meeting and Moorish came in here whether they're with other peoples or not. And any circumstance came up whereas any of the city officials were claiming jurisdictional powers for any purpose, where they say, oh, there's too many people in here, you can't have this many people, anything that they say, whereas they claim jurisdiction. And the Moors within this venue, in general, don't know how to come at them, then I say, we, as well as those Europeans, are at fault. And that the right that is theirs, inalienable, should not have to go through a whole bunch of hoops for it to be realized. And if we allow amongst ourselves the process to become complicated, then we're just as guilty as the European.
It comes down to this. If I walk into the roundhouse,
Mm-hmm.
and say that y'all can arrest nobody, yes or proper delegation of authority, if you do, I'm going to have all the other clothes out of here. I'm going straight back into a cell.
Mm-hmm.
Then first of all, they look at me as what? First of all, they're saying, who are you? I'm ignorant. It may be true. As of right now, it's not. So if any law enforcement officer walk into a Moorish signing center and make that statement, I think he would be arrested. Same as they would do.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, my position concerning that, and this is really what I'm saying, is most of them, I don't even think would approach it from that perspective, even knowing that they have the authority to do that. Most of them, I would think, would not even be thinking along those lines. My interest is that whether or not they act on it is, to me, and I'm not dismissing it, is secondary to the fact that they should at least know it, and it should be very clear that they know it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And that, meaning that you have a right to kill that roach, whether you do not or not is secondary to the fact whether or not, do you really understand what your right is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you should exercise it every time or that you should exercise it. But then if you don't know that you have that right, then we have a problem. And my interest is to make sure that problem doesn't exist with us. And at the same time, do the best I can to not allow Moors on our side of this nation to keep making this process complicated, whereas it shuts the people down. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because it does not have to be like that. And if we allow it to get like that, we will eventually, not at the moment, but eventually undermine ourselves, and we'll all be right back in that shit hole.
You already got the people thinking already, guys, that they farm.
Yeah.
And all this Mirage, Harrisburg, and all that belongs to them. This and that. It's all de facto territory that they just occupy by the title.
Isn't it? They're operating feudal law and no one's contesting it. But the Constitution that they took their oath on comes under allodial law. And no one's contesting it. They took an oath to this, and they're operating with this, and we keep talking about, well, we have to go